All right. How is everyone? Good. Hello. Boy, do we have a class today. I gotta get some water. Be right back. All right. Those of you guys in the Divine Feminine are going to get a double whammy today. I'm telling you, we're going deep, deep into the womb belly, into the belly of the beast. If you saw the name of today's class. So I have a little, I wouldn't say a confession, but like, you guys know that this work that I'm doing, I by no means are necessarily ahead of anyone else here. You know, I'm literally taking it in and then I'm playing with it and then I'm seeing what sticks and then I'm teaching about it. So by no means am I, you know, the prophet. It's just I'm the one that's fearless or stupid enough to put herself out here continuously. And it's just because I don't like to suffer. You know, it's like suffering is not my highest joy. Yet you're literally in the belly of the beast. Okay, so I have had some biblical experiences this last week. Now, I was not raised with any sort of religion. I would say that we were more like atheists, like we were taught early, you create your own reality and karma is real. Okay, so that's kind of the middle ground that I was raised in. And it obviously had its pros and cons. You know, I would go to church with my girlfriends and I'd be like, this feels like, I feel like a bad person here, you know? And so, and like I would watch them go through the motions and it was just like, okay, like they're having these experiences and I just felt very numb to it. And then when I started studying quantum physics, it was like the closest I could get to that expression of the idea of source. Okay. And so that felt like a resonance, like, okay, I can agree with that. And I don't know if it's because I'm an old soul and a futuristic soul, and I've been on all the sides where I know that it's not a dude and a guy, you know, that it's an energy stream, it's a consciousness, right? And that always resonated. It also kept me in the middle. You know what I mean? It kept me balanced, because when you're on a planet of density, it's like love and hate, right? And I never really bought into, honestly, either one of them. Like I understood love from a chemical expression, but growing up without, to me, unconditional love left me thinking this love stuff's not that much better than the pain. Like, so I always kind of stayed in the middle and found kindness, compassion, understanding, you know, and that is kind of where my safe ground has been on my journey. This is why you guys could tell me your dirtiest secrets and I'm like, I get it. I totally understand how we could do these things, you know. 1 second. I forgot to call my son's school. Hello, I forgot to call you guys this morning. It was on my to-do list. He had a fever about 3:30 a.m. this last morning, so I'm gonna keep him home. All right. Yeah, I'll let you guys know in the morning how he is. Okay, thanks. Darn it, I knew I was getting something. Yeah, and that's an interesting story too. They just started a heavy metal and parasite cleanse, right? And I'm weaning off of some of the food, right? Raising all the vibrations of the house. So back to the story. And I think some of you guys can relate, especially being on a metaphysical journey. You know, it's more about finding that center balance where you can kind of relate but you can kind of keep your own counsel where you're not buying into organized religion, but you're also not like condoning, you know, negativity. So it's like staying in this balanced place really can keep you looking like an enemy at times because you won't take sides, you know, or you were that child that understood negative behavior, yet it was happening at you. And you were kind of like, I get it, you know, and this is how our empathy becomes our own demise at times when we can feel what the other person is feeling. And so when they're hurting us, we have compassion, right? And so we will stay in toxic relationships for a very long time because we can understand and see and feel. The problem is that we don't recognize ourselves as part of that equation at times. And, you know, we're kind of like, we probably died on the cross, you know, been burned alive. So it's like, we can take it. We've been here before. We know this. But, you know, that chips into your self-love, that chips into your self-worth, because ultimately your energy is not really for you. It's like now it's associated with, if I give it away, then I'm valuable here. And I think that every single person in this class can relate to that story in some form. You know, we've dedicated our life for our kids, we've dedicated our life to our careers, we've dedicated our life to our partners, you know, or whatever. And then we realize that we're like, okay, we're ready to get a return on that investment. Crickets, right? It's like either kids that still need help in their 30s, or a company that fires you because they can get it cheaper, or a partner that, you know, steals your money. Okay, because that's literally what happens when we are filling from an empty cup. And I have said it almost in every class, what you settle for, you get less than you settle for, right? So as I have been doing this womb clearing, this is where it's all heading, you guys. And I'm like, whoa, you can't make this stuff up. So, you know, obviously, like I said, is I am going through my own healing journey as a divine feminine, and understanding that, you know, I know I'm both masculine and feminine. The planet, you know, is dominantly masculine, matter, physical, right? And so everything here that is worthy in a physical plane is based on physicality. This is why you judge your body. This is why you judge your bank account. This is why you judge, you know, or you think you're being judged, just because this environment that you live in is a mental kind of form-based plane. So you could literally have the heart of Christ and be the kindest, most loving soul in the world, but you don't look the part, you don't have the dollars, you know, you're not smart in this area, or you don't have this letter after your name, you're not qualified. You're not worth it. Okay. And so obviously this has gotten us to dig deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And I really feel like now that I'm really integrating into the womb of creation, like metaphor, that when you know me, I'm an avid, like language is, there is a lot of power in language. Okay. And this is why in some sessions, I'm like, we're doing light language because this is going to trigger you too bad, right? And because again, language is going to hit certain barriers within you because it's spelling, you know, it's casting spells. So as I am working on anything, I'm also rooting each word. Okay, like if I hear anything, I'm going to look it up, and I want to know the Latin, the biblical, the Hebrew, the Viking. What I want all the definitions, because this helps me understand. Okay, because again, like you hear these concepts constantly and you're like, yeah. I mean, it's almost like second nature, but we don't really dig into it. So when I started to do all of this womb work, I felt like I was having another awakening. And what I realized is this part of my body, I have completely neglected my entire life. Okay. Yeah, I've had my menstrual cycles. Yes, I've had 4 babies. Yes, I've been through a miscarriage and other things that, you know, were extremely hard in my womb. And yes, I've been in bad physical relationships. I probably let the darkness in, you know, like I've experienced it all, but never really knew her. Okay. It was just like, I mean, to me, it was as exciting as my intestines. It was like, they're just there. Okay. But when you really start to move in and meditate, what you realize is you guys are all spiritual healers or teachers or practitioners, or at least seekers. Okay, and so you have heard of the different energy planes, yes? You know, there's an etherical body, there's a mental body, there's all these bodies of energy that make up that physical experience you're having. And then you've got, you know, your force field we talked about. Well, what I didn't know, okay, because again, where I'm wounded, where we're all wounded is where our ignorance is going to be. Bottom line, wherever there's an infection, there's ignorance. Bottom line. So I have been ignorant to this area of my reality. And as I started pulling the thread and really getting into deep meditation and going deep diving in the womb, interesting that we're in Pisces, deep water, creative energy, the first and old, like the oldest zodiac, I mean, the last and the oldest, right? And the most misunderstood because it's the most shadowest, but it's the void. So as I start looking into this energy, I'm going, wait, as above is below. And I'm starting, when I go into an astral travel experience, I'm literally traveling through dimensions. And so of course, why not the womb? It's like Inner Space, that movie. So I'm deep diving into this energy and I'm going, wait a second. So when I come into a physical experience, I'm traveling through these energy centers, but the womb works backwards. Okay, so like what is at the top of our energy is at the bottom of the womb. You actually have to travel through, the womb has its own energy systems. So your body has one, and then the womb has its own. This is why it's got so many locks around it. This is why it's so important. It took me 45 minutes to get through all of the layers, okay, of this etherical, emotional, mental plane of the womb, except it was reversed. Because it's a starting point. See, think about it. It starts in creation, it works its way out. We're thinking of it as like, oh, it's working its way in this way. But here, the womb was working its way out because that's how it manifests. Okay, so I'm like, whoa, you know, I'm like a nerd in the lab. And I'm traveling. And all I'm seeing is the void. The void, the void, the void. Finally, when I get to this like mystical experience and these vibrations and this heaviness and this density, and it's like you're going through this wormhole to get into the womb, you start to experience the void. And we all know the void triggers the crap out of your ego because there's nothing to hold on to. There's nothing to 2-point. There's nothing to resonate with. There's nothing to see. Okay. And so interesting that I went and I was like, okay, well, now I want to know, obviously, we know that light is not the dominance of the universe. The empty space, the void, is the dominance of the universe. So the universe is literally one big womb. Okay. And you happen to have one of your own. This is what makes you so valuable. I hope you understand this by the end of this class. And guys, your womb is more in a non-duality spectrum in your scrotum. Bottom line. So your duality and feminine is non-duality. This is why we can see everything at once. And we can be crazy and happy. We can cry and laugh all at the same time. Okay. And masculine is like right or wrong, male or female. Okay. And so that is what makes them unique to creation. Their womb is in a separation. This is what makes them more density. All right. Because of course, you know, I had to go to the scrotum after that. And I was like, whoa, this is a different kind of party. Okay. And so obviously I'm doing a little remote viewing as well to see kind of how the functions and the genetics work from that non-physical experience. And so as I got in and I started to take notice, I could see tiny little sparks. Okay. And so I'm going, okay, these must be the eggs. This must be the stars. This must be kind of like as above is below. This is like creation awaiting. This is like desire in the universe waiting for a consciousness. This is like the 2-point connection, because you really had to get still to even see the sparks. Otherwise, you just see darkness. Okay, so obviously that was a experience that took me to a whole nother level with understanding bodies, because I don't think I've really never been so grateful. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, oh, this meat suit we're wearing, it's a pain in the butt. We got to go to the bathroom. We got to do all this stuff. It's always hungry, you know, and I've never really understood it from that kind of metaphysical atomic space before. So as I have a new appreciation, I want to try to share that with you guys. So at least you can get that awareness and then decode that how you will. Hopefully it will take you on a rabbit hole experience, just like it did me, because then, of course, when I came out of that, I had to look up every single word. All right. And the word womb, and of course, I looked into so many definitions. First one is belly. Okay. Now think about what a belly is, right? It's the house. It's like where everything goes. Okay. But it's also where everything is created. And belly of the beast is a known like term in the English language that means the center of pain. Okay. Take notice of this here, because we're duality this. Like this is, we're going duality here. So the belly of the beast means the center of conflict, the center of pain. All right. Womb has two definitions, which couldn't be more different, but I guess they're the same. Belly, and then the opposing biblical definition is compassion. So conflict, center of conflict, or center of compassion. Look at those two experiences. Okay. Center of conflict, center of compassion, or creation, or acceptance, or acknowledgement. Okay, so this is one where we create, and this is one where the conflict is. So if you guys are in the feminine workshop, I gave you guys a list of stuff and a really harsh class to really identify your belief systems or your perspective of your own physical womb. Okay, now look at the word yoni. All right, let's just rip it apart. Yoni, universe. Hello. Okay, like things come in and things go out, right? So you are technically a vortex. You sitting in that chair may not even like the way your butt looks in the mirror. You are an entire vortex of the universe. You're a wormhole. You are the void. You are the universe. You are creation. You are destruction. Okay. Now, center of conflict, belly of the beast. Think about our menstrual cycles. Think about how painful that is. Think about how angry we get. Think about what is actually like chemically going on in our bodies. Well, we are having a death experience. Every single time that that egg is not fertilized, we are having a death experience. So like attracts like. So a couple of times a month, once when we're preparing, okay, and once when we're experiencing, we are basically planning a death experience because the body knows that we are not, you know, we're not pregnant. Okay. Now, if you've never like wanted a child and not been able to have a child, you might be like, you know, but if you've ever struggled to have a child, then you probably have a lot of grief in this grief. This is the body's grief. And then you might have your own grief. Okay. You might have your own experience with that. And so obviously that's going to be the belly of the beast. Okay. And this is why I'm having the ladies in the workshop chart their cycle, because when I say you are non-duality, you have 4 seasons a month. In 28 days, you are 4 different versions of yourself because you're going through your cycle. Okay. And men stay more rooted and grounded and go more through a calendar cycle. But feminine energy goes through 4 cycles a month, even if you have your menopause, even if you've had your lady parts taken out. Okay, you're still going through this cycle. And if you actually can understand like what is happening biochemically in your body, you're going to have a lot more compassion, center of creation. Okay, so of course, this is going to take me down a whole rabbit hole, because when I Google belly of the beast, I get in the mouth of Jonah, right? And like, you know, people were like sitting in this big fish. Of course, not. I have the Bible in my blood from my generations. Okay. But I've never physically like studied it that way. I'm more of like, give me the shortcut. Let me direct connect to the cloud and I will download parts of the Bible that then I will go looking for it. Okay. And so I'll either ask the guides or I'll Google whatever's faster. And so then I'm like, okay, belly of the beast. And then we're like, okay, Jonah. And I know that in satanic rituals, one of the initiations is that they go to this special island and they all go into this belly of the beast or this big fish. Because their God represents the center of conflict. Think about it. Their God, so that's the first initiation. And I could be wrong. So Satan people are like, no, that's wrong. But it could be, okay? Like it appears to be, from what I know of the Freemason energy, that's one of the initiations, is they have to spend time in that. And it's to download it. It's to influence. It's like, you know, it was like when I first started watching that Walking Dead show, I was like, oh my God, people are dying. And then 5 minutes in, I'm like, kill that guy. You know, like you get influenced by bad behavior when it's justified. When it's justified. Halfway through that show, I was like, she needs to go. She needs to go. You know, it's like, who am I? You know, like I'm wanting people to get knocked off because of the influence, right? So we are influential creatures here. All right. So you have to understand that non-duality is more about the womb and the belly of the beast. And again, we're not going all the way biblical here. We're using it as a roadmap, just like we use metaphysics. Okay, just like quantum theory. We want to use what we have here. I mean, when we look at Earth like a big treasure hunt, right? And you start off in hell, literally. You start off in the center of conflict. That's your childhood, right? You started off in the center of conflict, at least to your expression. And then it was like a treasure hunt getting back to the womb of creation. And so when you start studying manifestation, you're actually studying the womb. Okay, is this resonating? All right, so of course it gets crazier. So then I start to think, okay, well, where do I still have center of conflict? So of course, you know, I always go metaphysics, biblical, right? I'll go Hebrew, I'll go Quran, I'll go to the Raw. I go all the different places because I like to cross compare and see. I like to see absolutes, okay? Because when I can see an absolute, I can understand that this story has been repeating for so many hundreds of thousands of millennial, right? That it's just repeating a cycle, and it doesn't matter whose version of it, there will be a center point here. All right. And so then I'm going, okay. So I start, of course, looking at addiction. I start looking at infertility. I start looking at cause and effect. I start looking at the idea of suffering. And then I start looking at this idea of starving. Remember how I said the root wound of masculine is starving? And the root wound of feminine energy, we talked about this in alchemy. The root wound of feminine is she's too full, right? She has nowhere to birth. She has too many dreams inside of her. No one to truly love and see her, no space to play, no right playmates to really play. So she's over full with creation. Okay. And then on the opposing side of that is starving. Now that takes me forward. Okay. We've got alien invasions. We've got, you know, we've got train wrecks, and I'm going, okay, center of conflict, right? Because everyone is asking for manifestation and the womb. So as above is below, right? And so ultimately, when they say the kingdom of heaven is within you, all right? Think about that. That's where they're talking about. Why do you think, like, so when I started working, why can I go 12 years in metaphysics and not truly understand feminine energy? How come? Because it's not something that's accessible. You have to go look for this. You know, until I told you, hey, you're in your masculine. Would you have read that somewhere? Probably not, unless you Googled it. Because it's as still as an undercurrent that is being held in the center of the belly of the beast, because as long as your womb is the center of conflict, then it doesn't care how metaphysical you are, what a good preacher you are, what a good, you know, studier you are, your life is going to be birthing chaos. Okay, because you're the center of it. And it is what you are birthing. Okay. Now, if you were born into that, then that's the influence. That was your initiation into hell. And you realize this is why we went through the childhood conflict, was because you agreed to come here. So you actually had to go undercover. I'm always talking about we're undercover, right? And you had to go through the same initiations. So of course, Then this path, of course, because now I'm Googling all this crazy stuff going, and I'm going, okay, this guy was a devil worshiper, and then he went to Jesus. And so I'm like, let's hear what he's got to say, because he's been there to the belly of the beast. And he starts talking about the first initiation, which is in the belly of the beast. And then the second one is humiliation. Sound like your childhood? So your body was initiated into the lower vibration world. Do you know that even music that is tuned here is a frequency of darkness? Like it's standard tuning, of course, because you know that I had to go look at sound, right? And I'm going, so if you're held together by sound, all right, your entire construct, sound is information, okay, in a rhythm. And the rhythm is going to be the collective rhythm, which is separation, which is masculine, which is death. Okay, so now let's look at the idea of death and life. Have any of you guys ever encountered what you would consider a ghost? Just nod your head if yes. Okay, all right. If you haven't, you've heard a ghost story. The idea of a ghost is the idea of a dead being, right? That doesn't know they're dead. Okay, they don't know they're dead. So they're having this physical experience like a broken record, right? Some of you have like sent those souls home. Some of you guys have been scared of that. Some of you saw them when you were a kid because you were still in your initiation, right? You still had choice there. Okay, it's your initiation is 7 years. Did you know that? Did you know that the Illuminati initiation, they want you to be indoctrinated by the age of 7. The whole process takes 7 years. One cycle of alchemy. Okay, you got 7 chakras because you got to get to 7 layers. And you know how you can be like, how are these people eating babies? Because they went through 7 layers to conflict. So they don't see people the way you do. Okay, just like you're eating a chicken and you're like, this tastes amazing. That is the way that they would identify with that energy. And so when you lose your humanity through indoctrination, you don't see things the way that the heart of the Christed heart feels. You don't see consciousness in the chicken. You see food source. Some of you are like, I don't eat that. Well, that's because you probably see the food source. Now, again, even the people that they're gnawing on here in Earth are all agreeing on some level to have that experience. Okay, because think about it, you can learn a lot from that experience. If I was going to be deep undercover, I would probably want to have that experience just so I was like, I've been on the inside. You know, it's like I was in there. I know what both sides is experiencing because I was an empath, you know, like, so now you think of center of conflict and you look at center of creation, the womb or the belly of the beast. All right, you guys tracking me? So of course, now I'm reading this guy's story about how his father was a Satan worshiper. And so then he's obviously, that's like, hey, this is the closest way I'm going to get to my dad is to do as he's doing. So then he starts performing really well. And he starts learning astral travel because, you know, dark energy can go all the way to the 9th dimension. 9th is completion. Okay. Dark energy can get to the 9th dimension. That's way higher than you probably feel you are right now. That's basically shape-shifting, lucid. That's playing with the whole energy as a game board, basically the universe. And so obviously this indoctrination is very well programmed. Okay. And of course, right, masculine scrotum is already separated, you know, so making sure that the feminine energy is walking in shame, walking in guilt, walking in humiliation, okay, then your entire life becomes an initiation, your whole effing life. And what's the worst part about it is that as you're trying to get out, all right, your body, your physical body has been programmed to be the center of the beast or the belly of the beast. So this is why you don't want to be here. This is why you don't want to be here. And this is why you don't want to be here. Okay? Because this is the center. And now look at all the body problems we've been having this last year. SI joints, hips, guts, right? What's inflamed right now? Well, what's right in front of you? You see, so this is becoming obvious and that is becoming obvious. I can always see the rhythm between weather and weather, because what is happening in here is happening out there, right? Because again, you have that etherical emotional plane here, and then you have it backwards inside the womb. Now, the feminine is going to go through a major deep healing of this in our workshop, okay? And I will give you guys as much as I can, but I can't do this in 2 places right now. And again, that's going to be, you're going to go through a womb healing, and then you guys are going to go through an activation to change it from the belly of the beast to the creation, back to compassion. Because when you really think about like how you have felt about your body, how you felt about childbirth, how you felt about not having childbirth, it's probably you have some negative connotations sitting there. Okay, like what this child does in your body, like this freedom it took away, like who knows, again, what your conflict feels within you, aka ego, right? Edging God out. Do you know that's the entire indoctrination? The entire indoctrination of the darkness or the death experience in this planet is to edge God out, to get you mad at God. Now, I cannot tell you how many of you are sitting there right now that are mad at God, or at least your idea of God, universe, whatever, okay? And as long as you are somewhere in this body got beef with your idea of God, then you are the belly of the beast, okay? It just is what it is. And this is why it's 10 steps forward, 10 steps back, because suffering is the name of the game. Okay. If you suffer, then you're going to feel what suffer feels like. Hurt people. So you came to a planet where everyone is hurting, and that's a generalization, but the main players here, right? The God that reigns here, okay, is in a constant state of suffering because he is undead. All right. What is your scariest childhood experience? Like, it's not like a guy with a gun, you know, shoot, right? It's the paranormal that is scary because you can't kill what's already dead. Now, what's already dead that doesn't know they're dead, what do you think they want? To live. To live. So I could compare dark energy, okay, with a parasite. Okay. When we study a parasite, it's neutral. It's just doing what it does. It likes sugar, which is energy, right? It likes to hide. It likes to multiply, okay? So if you study parasites, then you understand this planet. The belly of the beast. There's the biggest amount of parasites you're going to have is in your guts. It's the best place to hide. It's also the closest place to the food source. Now, when you have been around narcissistic energy or people that have hurt you in this life, what do they steal from you? Energy. Energy. Okay? Time in the form of energy, money in the form of energy, right? Your actual physical experience, physical energy, your heart, energy. And what are you left with? You're left with being empty. Now you're back in that void. The void, then you see, because you're indoctrinated, that the void is the belly of the beast, not the place of creation. See, like when I think of the void, I'm like, oh God, thank you. Everything is possible now, right? Like I literally rejoice when I'm in the void because I know that anything is possible in there. When there's a construct, oh gosh, I got this or I got that. But when you are literally in the void, okay, but you've been indoctrinated, then you're going to see it as I am starving. Okay, now let's obviously, and I know this sounds very biblical, but we have to have a story for him to work off of on this planet, right? So now we're going to go to the 7 deadly sins. Why not? Because 777, here we are. And this is a 7-year, by the way. So now you look at the 7 deadly sins. And I wrote in my blog, look at the 7 deadly sins and see which one you still struggle with and be honest with yourself here. Okay. If there's more than 3 that you are literally struggling with, then you are more indoctrinated into the matrix than you are into the quantum field of matrix. Okay. It means you've probably got 2 feet in over here and like 1 hand over here. All right. Which means that your body is identifying more with this place. Okay. I have met some children who have been abused way worse than I was. All right. And they will stand up for their parents because it's all they know. This is all you know. At least this is all your body knows. This is all your body knows. Okay. Because when I say, hey guys, let's go build a new world, you're like, yeah, but I don't know that. I know this. I know the belly of the beast, and at least I can like get food here, and like they let me live here if I pay money. And you know, it's like, you see, so your body, if I said, okay, let everything go, walk away from everything right now, let's go to 5D, you would say no. You would say no to me right now, I guarantee it, because I said no a week ago. Because I was in the belly of the beast and not in the center of creation. Whereas like, well, if I let that go, then I might be able to have this, but I don't believe in this because this is not here. Pride, greed, lust, envy, gluttony, wrath, and sloth. Okay. I definitely have dealt with gluttony majorly. Eating disorder, right? Like consumer. I mean, you know, if there is one that I really identify with, it's gluttony. Okay, I will be honest. The other ones, not so much. It used to be real bad when I was younger. Envy, comparison, envy. It's not fair. You know, why her, not me? Why did this happen to me? Why does God hate me? You know, you've got to kind of break each one down and sit with yourself. Like when you feel low, which of those gets triggered? And then it triggers a emotional need. All right, now let's move back over to science because that's enough of the scary stuff. Let's go to the idea of an infection. So when you're looking at the game that you're sitting on, look at it as an infection that has infected the body, and look at it as a parasite. So if I have an infection here, right, my body's designed to heal itself unless it's in my immune system is jeopardized. My immune system is my safety. Okay, so if I get a cut and I don't feel safe, or my immune system is dealing with depression or stress, then my cut might not get tended to and it could get infected. All right. So let's say that I get a cut and it gets infected. All right. Now it's not healing. Think about if you've ever had something that wasn't healing. Okay. What kind of emotion does it put you in a chronic state of? Anger, frustration, pain, suffering? What do you only care about? What do you only care about? Feeling better. Okay. You don't even care if it heals. You just want relief. So that is the demonic state of being. I don't care to heal this. I just need to be fed. I don't think this is healable. I just need relief. So like, let's say you get a migraine. You're not like, let's look at the metaphysical definition of this right now. No, you're like, help me, get me out of this pain now. Okay. So pain means I'm disconnected from source. That's what pain means. I am disconnected from source. I am in pain. So instead of knowing that you can connect to source from the womb of creation, you go into the belly of the beast and you connect through an instant gratification or medication. Okay. And you feel all of the negativity that death feels. Because see, what they don't talk about with grief is not just crying and like, I miss so-and-so. It is rage. It is starvation. It is neglect. I mean, there's so much that goes into grief when you go into the emotion of it. Because like you heard the 7 stages of grief, there's the 7 freaking again. Okay. And number 3 is bargaining. Take this pain away. Take this pain away. Take this pain away. So let's say Jesus Christ himself came in your office. You were like, whoa, didn't even know we were here, not real. And he said, let's go. Right? You got to leave everything. Let's go. We're going to go to 5D. You got to leave everyone and everything. Would you do it? Probably not. because you would go to settling. Well, can I go later when my kids are grown? You would go immediately to settling because you actually don't care about going to 5D, the part of you that is your body. It cares about getting out of relief. It gets relief. Your body cares about being fed. Your body cares about having money to pay your bills. Your body cares about feeling loved. Your soul is like, let's go. Your body is like, this is all we know. So although this is scary stuff that's happening out here, the prophecies that is like manifested, okay? All that's happening is you're starting to realize you got parasites out here, okay? And think about it. Heavy metals is one of the things that blinds you. It is one of the things that destroys your womb. It is one of the things that eats away your blood and your body, blood of Christ, all right? And it is in every single thing that they make in a plant, even the way they filter water. You see? Because again, if your childhood didn't indoctrinate you enough, your childhood at least put you into the belly of the beast where you're always going to be hungry for something. Okay? Your childhood, your first 7 years created your 7 deadly sins, right? So let's say this. I didn't have a dad. My dad abandoned me when I was 2, 3, okay, in our nice home with our nice family, left me for my mom's best friend. And then she went on hoe season, basically, and debauchery in front of children that I was then subjected to, right? So I was abandoned by my father, okay? So where do you think my deadly sin is going to be when it comes to relationships with the masculine? That's where the belly of the beast is for me. Okay. Well, then, because I lived in a very dysfunctional home and we moved every other day, the only thing I could control was food. The only thing I could control was food. So I controlled it. Okay. And then it became an obsession. It was something I used to hurt myself. And it was also something that I used to hide with. I used it for pain, for pleasure. Okay. It was my only friend and it was my biggest enemy. All right. So when you think about your 7 years, it created your 7 deadly sins, and your 7 deadly sins are now the belly of your beast. They are hungry. They do not want to go to 5D. They want to be relieved. They don't believe they can heal. They're dead. All right. So remember, we said we don't want to say dark and light anymore. It's just too woo-woo. Let's say death. Okay. And let's say life. But one of my favorite movies is Death Becomes Her. If you've ever seen this with Bette Midler. If you haven't, you gotta watch it. Because what happens is they're losing their beauty, which is how women identify with themselves. And so in order for them to get power or revenge or whatever their initiation was, they drink this serum that makes them immortal. All right? Undead. And so now, last piece of advice, oh yeah, hey, take care of that house you live in. They're like, yeah, sure. And by the end of the movie, they're literally walking around like broken, okay? Constantly having to put themselves back together. It's like you look at Biden's ear and one day it's attached and the next day it's not. You're like, okay, you drank the serum, dude, okay? And that's what's kind of happening on our planet right now is you're going, that, what? Like, who knows how old that dude is, all right? Or even if that's him. I mean, you can wear skins just like video games now. So when you look at this, it's like, what I've noticed is when this gets scarier, we pay more attention to here. All right? Because like I can't see here and I can take a medication to make my body feel better, but I can't turn out that alien invasion that I'm seeing or that, you know, spill, okay, that's happening, that's affecting our food. You know, like I was literally at the grocery store the other day and I heard the manager talking about get ready for the food shortage. All right. So I'm going, oh, no, I do not live in this universe. This is not the universe I live in. All right. Check, please. I'm going into the belly of the beast to figure out what this thing needs to heal. Because I'm not doing this anymore. This is not, it's like, here's what I always think. Once you know better, you got to do better. And that's why I started my conversation saying, guys, I'm not further than you here. I'm literally like just unpacking everything right now. And the more work that I have done on my womb, the more excited I am about 5D. because I know that that is my wormhole. It's my vortex. It's my travel space. All right. And this is why masculine is going to be so in resistance to metaphysics in the coming times, because it's in separation because of the scrotum, right? And so it is up to divine feminine to lead by example. So we lead in the spirit realm and they lead in the physical realm. That's our jobs here. Our job is to lead in the spiritual realm. Their job is to lead in the physical realm and keep us safe here. So if you don't have that +1, then you have to be that +1. All right. And if you're the +1 you won't have isn't listening, well, you got to come in and be your +1 and then change your feminine example, and then he will download that. Because the thing is you keep, like I said, and I don't know if I said this in the feminine workshop or this workshop, but every partner that you've had intimately, you keep for 7 years their DNA. Okay. This also means that if your partner was with other people, you also have all their DNA. Now, as a feminine energy, this is a good resource because you're stocking data for creation. You're using it as a template. Okay. It's not like that unless you're in the belly of the beast, and now you have all of their belly of the beast in your body. Now you understand why we have to do the yoni purification process. Even if you've been like, well, I only had 2 or 3 partners. Well, how many partners do they have? Okay. And so again, it's the DNA we're talking about. We're not talking about like, you know, we're not talking about, you know, the physical, we're talking about the remnants of the atomic structure. All right. Because it's information and nature. What have I always said? Earth is, she's the living library. You are the micro of that macro. You are the living library of DNA. You know, like you were literally in your grandmother. Okay. The eggs that your grandmother had, you were there. So you have been like through everything your grandmother has been through. You have been through everything your mother has gone through. And so you had their bellies too, belly of the beast. Okay. And I come from a long line of lunatics. I'm sorry, I do. Both sides. All right. Which got to even out at some point. All right. It's like, you can't get crazier than this. So embrace it, learn from it. You know, luckily, after everything I've experienced in this, what feels like 47 years of initiations, like I haven't lost my kind heart. I haven't lost my empathy. I haven't lost my compassion. Okay. I've lost my patience for sure. You know, I've had many of cries. I will tell you, I probably cried the most in the last 3 months than I have in my entire life. And I've gone through my childhood healing. But when you get to the womb healing, it's like, whoa, like your entire Akashic story is in there. Okay. And it's amazing because now I really do feel like I can move to that center of creation. So if you guys have been listening to my side talks that I've been doing, because I can't shut up lately, is I'm really talking about how the body is electric, right? The blood is magnetic, your feelings are magnetic. But the reason why you're in the belly of the beast constantly is because your electricity is low. Okay, you're just kind of always like hungry and short-circuited and battery operated and in pain, and because you're not full charge, right? It's like if you notice your phone gets to 50% and then all of a sudden it's like nothing. Okay, but it feels like if it's at 100, you're good for the day. But if it's at 50, you gotta like pay attention to outlets. So if the planet who has the Christ at heart is walking around at 50% charge because of the water, because of your trauma, because of your infections, because of your parasites, because of your parasitic friends, right? You're walking around 50% charge. You have to stay close to home so you can recharge. This is why you don't like change. This is why you don't adventure. This is why you're not fearless, because you're like, I got to recharge, because you know that you're at 50. And so you're going to drop. We also live in a country here, you guys might not, but we don't get siesta. Okay. It's go, 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 go. Okay. And even if you work from home, you push yourself into that. You're like, oh, I'm here. I should be doing laundry. I should be doing this. Like, you know, and then it's like, if you're not doing that, well, maybe I should be reading a book. And again, it's that go, go, go. Because in the present moment is the 0 point, and the 0 point is the belly of creation, and the belly of creation is the womb, and the 0 point is the balance. It is where all things begin. It is where all things die and all things begin. So when we are controlled by this body hunger from our initiations, so it's like I do this, like I'm like looking at people I know that are in the indoctrination program here. I like to call it that. And I'm going, but they're mothers. How do they do, like, how do they drink that? And how do they do this? And they're moms, right? And I'm going, because that's what's keeping them alive. That has become their partner. That has become their safe place. Okay. And again, when you lose your connection to your heart, how many of you guys are metaphysical as hell, but don't really feel much? I don't cry. My husband cries. He's a woman, you know, like I know some of you guys because you're like me. We're badass bitches, right? We don't cry. Do you know that's a numbness of our heart? Okay. Do you understand that your astrology sign is the way that you feel emotion? Okay. So Cancers, crybabies, love you all, but you should be crying for everyone. All right. I'm a Gemini. So I'm going to like want to punch you out and cry in the same 2 minutes. Okay. But I don't do that. I don't even want to punch you out because I'm a good person. You see? So it's like, we don't know ourselves at all. And if you notice, our culture pushes us away from knowing ourselves. Oh, I got to get to know my doctor. I got to get to know my nutritionist. I got to get to know this. And it's all to keep you safe. Now, the one thing that you don't really learn unless you've gone deep into the belly of the beast, okay, is that the belly of the beast runs in gangs. It runs in packs. Okay, spirit travels alone. It's in unity of it's like, I'm good. I got my Christ consciousness. But the indoctrination is taught to multiply. Now let's go look at Nazi Germany. Belly of the beast. Let's look at genocides. Belly of the beast. Let's look at Ohio. Like, where are we right now? Okay. Belly of the beast. Mark of the beast. Right? All the fertility issues. Abortions illegal. Like, look at the last year we have had. Okay. So pressurization is how you become your done. You're going to have to get really scared to let go of this indoctrination. All right. Because this guy, and if any of you guys are interested in hearing this guy's testimony, it's cool. Because, you know, like I said, I don't identify with religion in that way, but whatever gets you to that balance womb of creation point, I'm all in for. All right. And he was talking about how he didn't believe in God, blah, 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 blah. And of course, he was set to go like what they're taught to do. These initiations, obviously, is because it's all about dissemination. It's all about dissemination. They're looking for people who are already hungry, that are not being fed, weak-minded, good, pure hearts. Where's the best place to find that? The church. So this guy was talking about how he was sent to these churches in New York when he was like 8 years old, and he would go there and he would find the weakest person and bring them back to his lair, basically, and then do spells over the church and all this kind of stuff. And he would talk about lucid dreaming. He would talk about remote viewing. All right. He would talk about lucid travels. Okay. He's 8 years old. Okay. So then he talks about this, that he gets invited to this church by this girl that lived in his neighborhood. And he was like, well, she lives in my neighborhood. It's fine. Okay. And when he walked into the church, they noticed him. And they started to do kind of like a deliverance on him. Okay. And he said he started to claw and scratch and blah, blah. And of course, you know, I've never really witnessed any of this except in my own sessions. I have been through some possessions. Okay. Very many times. Actually, probably 4 times now. Different, not like that. One time like that. One time like that where you're like, that is scary. Other times you're just like, okay, Libby, a small little entity there. Okay. Well, he was literally like seen. And so, of course, you know, he's like, but he couldn't stop thinking about this girl. Again, what gets man to spirit? Divine feminine love. So meeting that girl and her seeing him with her pure heart and inviting him in was like the opposite of being invited in on the other side. And now he's one of the biggest evangelists there is. Like, he is traveling all over the world, and he knows every layer of this game. He knows every layer of the indoctrination. And so to me, that is what makes a really good undercover cop here. You know, it's kind of like, you got to know both sides. And this is why you went through your initiation. You might not have been in the satanic church, but you are in your childhood. What's the difference? You know, it's like, that's where your food came from. That's where your pseudo love came from. That's where your influence came from. Okay. Now, what I'm also seeing is that the belly of the beast is the influence of either death and starvation, or need, or desire. And this is why most of your mental desires are coming from lack, or starving, or pain. All right. And this is why when you have a desire that comes from pain, lack, suffering, right, rejection, abandonment, that is the belly of the beast. And if you're having a desire of your heart, like, I just want better playmates, like, you know, like, that's not going to make me money or like fix my body, but just laughing more. Okay, that's the belly of the womb. That's the womb. Think about where most of your desires have been this last year. Okay. And so when you desire from an empty, starving, dead place, when you ask, it's given. Okay. All right. But you're not all the belly of the beast here. So it's like something I've noticed, and I know you've noticed this too in your practice, because I know by now you're at least doing free work, you're talking to people, you're like, you get on this rampage of consciousness and it's like flowing, and you're like, oh, they get it. And then all of a sudden they go sideways and they are so asleep. You're like, what happened? It's like a narcoleptic woke, right? And you're going, how can you be so woke right here? And we're just streaming our consciousness. And then you go here and then you're in total judgment. How? Right? Because your indoctrination, the belly of the beast, only exists in the fractals where you're hungry, where you're starving, where you're neglected, where you're rejected, where you're denied, where you don't think God loves you. That is where you go to sleep. Okay. Now, if you're going to sleep during my class, better check that. I have literally been in a retreat setting and at least always had one person fall asleep. And I'm going, right? Because again, you're going to fall asleep where your infection is. Take a breath right now. Where you are asleep, scared, alone, rejected, denied, in pain, is where your infection is. It's an untreated infection. What causes a zombie eclipse? An infection. You see how it's coming full circle. All the movies that they've been making, we're getting you ready for the next scene. And if you don't believe you're an actor by now, this is why I'm always like, change the script. Go from belly of the beast to the womb of creation. Yes, you're going to have to travel into your inner space. Yes, you're going to have to feed your own soul. But I want to show you something that I did about 5 years ago that just went like a light bulb with me in this moment. So, raging eating disorder. I would get to the point where I was so starving, even though I had just eaten like 20 minutes ago, that I was literally obsessing about food, like obsessing. Like, people would be talking and I would feel like, would everyone leave so I could eat this bag of cookies by myself? I mean, it was so bad. And then of course, when I would do that, I would feel horrible and disgusting, but that's the cycle. Okay. Because then I want to repent and have someone love me, even though I'm an obese, disgusting person. You see, like, you see that cycle of belly of the beast. And so about 5 years ago, I was like, okay, well, this is an addiction. Let me study addiction. Okay. When I studied addiction, it was a lack of connection. Makes sense. So when it comes to food, I felt like I had a lack of connection to source energy. Right. So what I started doing to heal my eating disorder, and you can use this for every one of your manifestations, by the way, is what you do is you get out of your mind, you drop into your heart. Okay. That is the closest thing that you will believe in source energy, and think of something you love, but then imagine that that love is actually the stream.
And I want you to bring it all the way up to source and imagine that like a lightning bolt or electricity is coming down and filling up your belly that's hungry. Okay, imagine that source energy is filling up your tummy. I do this before I eat every single day, and then I don't overeat. I fill up my tummy with source energy. Okay, and then I literally wait until the hunger dissipates before I eat. Think about this. Like attracts like. So if I'm hungry, what am I going to get? More hunger. It's like eating Chinese food. You're hungry in 20 minutes. Okay, it's the chemicals. So think about this. If I stream source energy before I'm going into an addiction, which is shopping or, whatever cycle that I find myself in, the 7 deadly sins of, mine would be gluttony. Okay, because I felt like my womb was empty, you see, and my life was the belly of the beast. I was trying to dopamine myself into safety by overfeeding. Okay, which is what the death experience is constantly doing. They overfeed and then they like, bleh, you see? So it's like, think about it. Have you ever been so hungry that you overate? Okay. If you've ever been so hungry that you've overate, or you've been so deprived in love that you've overshopped, or you've been so deprived in something that you've overdone something, it's coming from starvation of, I'm never going to have any more, so I have to fill up my cup. So the dark energy on the planet, or the death experience that is running the planet, is in a constant state of, I need as much energy as I can because we don't know if it's going to be there. It's a scarcity. Now look at yourself with money. Scarcity. Okay. Look at health. Scarcity. Time. Scarcity. You have 4 valves of your heart, and you have 4 streams of scarcity: time, relationships, health, money. Think about this. It's all coming together. Probably the most important class I've done in years. Hopefully you guys are going to watch this. Okay. So now if you think about, all right, well, I don't overeat, but I don't have enough money. So next time, right, you feel like I don't have enough money, and you're looking at your bank account and you start to feel that skitter feeling. It's going to make you settle and do something desperate, or move away from your integrity, or move away from your morality and do something that's going to lower your worth to feed yourself. Is there really a difference between that and doing what they do? No. You can justify it as it's not that bad. Well, I just got a loan from the bank. Who'd you take the loan out from? You literally signed your soul over there. I've done that a whole bunch of times. And then you're like, dang, now I owe them, right? Because the whole thing is to get you hungry here so that you find this space as a safe space to overconsume. So the next time you find yourself in lack, maybe today, maybe after this, I want you to go look at your bank account and number. And I want you to feel the hunger in your body. All right. And I want you to channel source energy. And I want you to fill up your tummy. I want you, your scrotum, your tummy, whatever you want to call it, fill it up, not with money, because that's not what you're hungry for. That's connection. That's security. That's expansion. That's creativity. That's freedom that you're filling yourself up with. And if you fill yourself up with source, then you will become a completely electric being, and then desire. And you're desiring from a full space. Okay. Now you are that energy instead of being separate from this energy. I want you to literally text me as soon as money starts coming in. Now, this is going to be coming in from your womb space. So if you've got beef with your womb, all right, then you might be in rejection of your own source energy. I said, this is your universal bank here. Okay. And if it feels like you don't have your PIN number, you always hear this. Abundance is your birthright. You're like, really? Where is it? Okay. Like, how many times have you thought this? You read it and you're like, yeah. And then the dark part of you goes, but not for me. I have to work all the time and I never get anything. That's your indoctrination. One of the most painful wounds I've ever seen is humiliation. And that's an entire year in the dark. They go through 1 year of humiliation. And I could be wrong, but that's the notes that I've been reading. Okay. Think about that. And then think about your childhood. Was your theme humiliation? Was it neglect? Okay. Was it guilted? Were you guilted? Did you have the pleasure of growing up in the Catholic Church? You were guilted? Or, you were a fat kid like me and you were shamed and humiliated and poor, but you got to live in a rich community because that was great. And you had chaos in the house. Okay. So this is what my literally womb became. The universe that I had to work with, okay, was this. So what kind of partners am I going to have? But again, I kept my pure heart. I kept my kindness. I kept my empathy. I've kept my compassion. And so I have not lived a world of complete suffering. I would say 50%. You know what I mean? Like 50% of me stayed here true to me and, spoke the new gospel and showed up and helped as many people as I can. And the other part of me would eat cookies when no one was looking and, have jealousy and envy and wrath at times and push people away, and all kinds of things. It was like a dual reality. And I just like, oh, you're a Gemini. That's how you're supposed to be. Justification. See, we justify what we live here. Okay. And so, like I said, when you know better, you do better. That's it. There's no guilt and shame needed. Like when I laid there and was like, holy crap, I have been playing for both sides. No wonder my life has not been 10 steps forward. Because if I'm playing for this world, which is my womb of creation, then I'm going to get 5 steps ahead. And if I'm playing for starvation in the belly of the beast, I'm going to walk 10 steps back or 5 steps back at least. Does that feel like you? Right? So the solution here is to know thyself, right? To love thyself, to see the value of what you have here. See, no matter what they do, no matter what they show you, no matter what they poison, no matter what they take, you wake up tomorrow and have no money, you have everything. Everything. You're like, hey. And if you get away from the belly of the beast and you go into creation, you literally are the seed of the new world. You, by yourself, not with your husband's money, right? Not with your talent, not with your ability to study, not with anything you've done in the past, right? Like everyone has done their best to survive. All right. Everyone, even the death becomes them experience that's walking around out there broken. And this is why you should never be scared of the darkness or the death experience that's walking around there, because it's like death becomes them. They're like hanging on by a thread. And so what they do is that's why they walk around in gangs, because they're so weak and starving on their own that their safety is in numbers. And this is why dissemination is such a big deal in the indoctrination, right? Think about family. Think about how you're the black sheep or the scapegoat, but everyone else is like bullying you. Interesting, right? Notice how you're always feeling like a black sheep when everybody else has inside jokes and has this and this, but you don't fit into that. That's because you're not part of that gang. But unfortunately, you're having that own gang within you. You're getting your liver to go against your kidneys. You know what I mean? You're getting all of your organs against everything. Like you're doing it in inside space because you don't feel safe, or you would never hurt someone like that. Okay. So let's take some interaction here, because this is a really crazy week really crazy 2 weeks for me. And I'm just so grateful for myself that I pushed myself into these questions, because again, when you don't ask yourself questions, how would you know? Right? And again, lack always is my question. Why is this lacking? I want to know. If I'm supposed to be all there is, and I'm supposed to be source energy, and I work for God, where's my freaking whatever? Okay. So if there's a lack, I want to know where it's coming from, because I know it's coming from here. It isn't coming from this guy or that thing or whatever. It's generated here. It's either an infection or a parasite. Okay. Infection spreads, right? Ignorance spreads, pain spreads, Violence spreads. Black Lives Matter. Really? We're all the same color in the dark and the light. Okay? It's all manipulation. And this is why you've ever been in a relationship with a narcissist. What's the number one thing they do once you get out of the relationship? They turn everyone against you. They start a smear campaign. Why? Okay? Now, when you are in the indoctrination and you are saying yes to that starvation, you're constantly feeding and purging, basically. And purge, I mean guilt and shame. Okay? Then part of you isn't going to want that to go away. The part of you that identifies with that with family. You know, Beyonce's up there thanking God. I don't know which God. Thank you, God. Like, okay, your housekeeper just made a claim that you did black magic on her last week. I don't know what, you know what I mean? So it's like, you could say, thank you, God, but you could be saying, thank you. Like you could get, like, let's say they're starving and the bank gives you $700 and that's just enough for you to get by this week. And you're like, thank you. It's like, really? I'd be like, oh, great. Okay, I got to get into my womb here. I got to teleport into the abundance. Okay, so let's take some conversation here. What are you guys feeling about this? Anyone? Come on. I know I'm either triggering you or giving you some new information, or it's not new. How about different an awareness of the same? Okay, I'm never going to be able to teach you something that you probably didn't know in a different way. Anyone? Anybody have one that they would like help with? I mean, this is asking for help is divine feminine, right? I don't see Dermot here. Donna?
Okay, divine feminine asking for help, asking for help. Boy, that was hard to get that word out.
Right? It's like it goes against you because it means you're weak, right?
It
or
does.
or you're vulnerable.
Mm-hmm. So I woke up this morning and I was exhausted. Just my mind works all the time trying to figure everything out into to do, to be,
So that would be your addiction.
Yeah.
Your addiction to problem solving, your addiction to try means trauma.
Yep.
So we got to find the infection.
Yeah. So
okay, you see how that would be an infection?
Yeah, I can see. Yeah.
Right.
And there's something you said, I think it was as a whole, that hit me, and just so much emotion just came up and out. Cancer, crying.
Good. Thank
But
you. Never apologize for that.
I think that exhaustion might be good because it might be the end of struggling and trying and working and doing and thinking and yeah.
Good.
I'm
So
exhausted.
what is it? So what is it that you need help with? Like I know you you're asking for help and you're saying I'm tired of being an overthinker. Right?
Yeah.
You're adrenalizing your own stress into cortisol.
Yeah, the surrender terrifies me.
Yes. Right. That's what I said. Like if Jesus showed up and was like, hey, come over here, that would be surrender. You'd be like, I don't trust you. Where were you when I was 5 and I was getting abused? You see? So there's a couple of things that we're going to do. Number one, obviously you're in the Divine Feminine workshop and we're going to clear out your wound. And that is going to be your mending your relationship with your definition of God. Because if you can't just pull in source energy right now and go, I'm going to go rest. I'm pulling in source into this empty void. Figure it out. Right? Then that is because you don't believe in it. It abandoned you. It rejected you. And so now the way you've gotten it is by giving it to other people. You see? So when you're in the flow, like in a session, you're not worried about money, right? You're not worried about tomorrow. You're in the present moment. So what we're going to do is, and this is what you can do until we get to class, is practicing bringing in your path of least resistance definition of source energy into that painful part of you. So if it's your head, bring it to your head. Okay, because this isn't about like, let me call a psychic and get the answer to my question. You're trying to build a gang there. You want to go, I'm just going to bring source energy into the void, into the suffering, and then I'm going to go rest. Because like what I've noticed about food, I think it's a little less scary than money, but like if I bring source energy into my belly that feels empty and it's like, feed me, right? If I bring source energy in there and I do not eat until it feels satisfied, that's the feeling I'm waiting for, until I feel satisfied. Okay. So what you can do, Donna, is you can, in your definition, even if part eater demons are mad at God, you can find that stream, whatever it looks like. You could find love for your baby. You could find love for your grandchild and just and that could be your path of least resistance source. Okay. So it's like a propane tank, you know what I mean? Like it's still energy. So it's like until we really are one with source energy again, because all of us have felt cut off because we went through the indoctrination of the first 7 years. So we went through humiliation, went into the belly of the beast, right? We had all the same experiences that are in the Bible in our first 7 years that got us addicted to our abusers here. Okay. And when you are in the mental plane, you're in the world of form. So the only way you feel safe is if some form fixes it, if some money comes to you, if some solution comes to you, if you're in the mental space. Okay. If you're hungry here, you're going to want some food. Okay. If you're hungry here, you're going to want some love. So wherever you are hungry, okay, whether hunger is coming in the fact of physical lacking something or in an injury, an infection. That's why I said it's like an infection or it's like a parasite. Parasites are always hungry and they're constantly multiplying, you know, or it's an infection that is spreading. Because I would say that money is an infection because it spreads. You get into debt and then it becomes more debt and then it becomes more problems. And then you're like band-aiding it and you're taking a medication, but it's just, now it's getting into your organs. You see how it spreads. Okay. So to me, the duality of dark is the parasite expression and infection. All right. So that's the duality. So in this case, it would be, right, starvation. Okay. It could be even infection, who knows? But you're going like, you need. And so there's a hunger. Money is a metaphor for freedom. So actually what you do, Donna, is you stream source down into where you're feeling the lack. Okay. And you guys can pay attention. I have a new modality that's coming out and it's going to be kinesiology based. You're going to feel where it's lacking and you're going to flow electricity into that space until it feels satisfied. And then like, you're going to go demonstrate the satisfied behavior. Okay. So if money would solve your problems right now, Donna, and that would give you permission to go be free. Okay, then what you would do is you would stream source into that area. You feel it in the body. Maybe it's not here. Maybe it's here. Money could be felt here too. You got to notice where your hunger is. And if you're adrenalizing, right, and you're in fight or flight, you're going to have to settle your cup down to see where the dust settles. So what you want to do is if you're way inflamed because of a moment, you want to get yourself calm, and then you can actually see, is it floating? Is it at the bottom? And then you'll feel where the hunger is. You'll know what chakra it's in. And then you'll bring in life force energy, whether you can stream connect, okay, or that you call it in from your heart, whatever. And all you do is you imagine it's coming down. And I like to do, if I need it quick, I think of a lightning bolt, like boom, you know, fill me up. Or if I have some time, I'll literally just imagine like warm energy coming into that space and making me feel electrical again. And I will not take action until I am experiencing satisfied. Okay, that doesn't mean the pain's gone, but it means it's bearable. All right. I'm not reacting. I'm not eating. I'm not calling the bank. I'm just failing. Now, what is it that I was hungry for? Freedom. Now, thank you for my electricity. I'm going to go demonstrate freedom. Because what you're doing is you're getting out of the indoctrination. You're getting out of the indoctrination this way. Okay, and I have 2 written modalities coming. They're just getting edited right now. Now, this one I have been doing for a long time, and I'd like, duh, I could have been doing this with money. I could have been doing this in a lot of areas where I was like running around crazy, action in desperation, yet I won't eat if I'm not satisfied. What the hell, Jess? I mean, again, but my ignorance is where my wounds are. You know, and I think that my eating disorder I fixed earlier because I totally felt like a fraud. But then with the relationship stuff, it hurt my heart so much that I was just like, I'm going to figure this out. I didn't think I could do the same thing with money or time. Okay. So would you like to do it with us, or would you like to do it on your own?
I'll do it on my own.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's totally fine.
Yeah.
But just remember, you want to let the dust settle, and you want to really like just be with yourself. And if you need to do some gentle breathing or some breathing, what you're trying to do is calm the energy down to see where the starving energy is. Like you really want to locate where in the body the starving or the pain is. Okay. It'll feel like hunger or like lack, like a 911, or it'll feel like physical pain. It could feel like both. It could be in 2 areas, because remember, infection spreads. You've got a gang now working against you. Okay. And you realize that you're manifesting from the belly of the beast. And you say, wow, okay, I got this. And so I know better, and I will do better.
When you say demonstrate freedom, so
Mhm.
you were talking about
Yep.
money represents freedom.
Mhm.
So fill that space and go out and demonstrate freedom.
Now, I didn't say spend money, because you can't spend what you don't have.
Right.
First, you're going to get the energy signature, then it will materialize. So you demonstrate freedom. Like, I'm free to take a nap. I'm free to read a book. You literally say out loud, I am free to go make a Sammy. Like, I'm free, and don't go eat if that's another void to fill, but like go demonstrate some, because here's the thing, if you had money right now, you might nap more. Like, what would you do if the money was taken care of? Go do that, unless it means go spend money, right? So like, don't actually spend the money. Like for me, I will not eat until I feel satisfied. And then you guys, I have not overeaten since. Like, I haven't overdrank alcohol, which I don't even want anymore. Because again, that was a starving, that's an indoctrination. Lots of sex and alcohol in the indoctrination, or lots of perversion. Okay. And then you might have guilt and shame, or you might be in such resistance of that you're all locked up down there. Okay. Again, we're going to work on that in the Divine Feminine workshop. Go demonstrate something that you would do if your money problems were gone. Like for me, like when I first was working on my money stuff, I would do this, and then I would just like go play with my son, because then I'm not worrying. Go, chill with him or hang out with him, and like actually be present with him, because I'm not like, oh gosh, how am I going to pay this bill? Okay. So demonstrate present moment freedom. Now, if that pain starts to come back, because that's a really big addiction, call it in again. Call its bluff consistently. You guys, this isn't going to be a one-time thing. Like, oh, it didn't work the second time. No, you didn't do it the second time. Bottom line, because you are creator and commander of your universe. And so if I call source energy in, I am the commander. You can go, and here's the reference. This Satan worshiper, okay, was literally like 14 or 17 years old before he had his first experience with Christ. Do you know how many horrible things he did? And he was accepted right away. No questions asked. Not like, well, you did get in debt last year, so God doesn't really love you. It doesn't work like that. As soon as you say yes, the universe says yes. So you call it in again, and you call it in again, and you call it in again, and then you rewrite the template of your indoctrination. And then all of a sudden, now you have a womb of creation instead of the belly of the beast. And I'm going to tell you, I got 47 years. So it's a daily practice. That's why I'm always, you guys, discipline means disciple. Become a disciple of your own source energy. You know, like be consistent. That's what a good, loving parent does. Like if I adopted a child that was truly abused the way I was, do you know how long it would take me as a parent to get her to feel safe? You know, I can't just do it once and then be like, that doesn't work. Now you're going to forget. Okay. But the more that we do that, like if you guys are going to go through this womb clearing, you won't forget, because now it's going to be an organic shift. Those of you who aren't going through that experience with us, you're going to have to remember. Okay. And then you're going to have to figure out how to get right with your creation space. Okay. Whatever you need to do there, like go AA. There's 12 steps you could follow. We're going to go in more of a remote viewing type of place. I'm going to show you guys how I astral travel, and I'm going to take you down in your inner space so that you can, through my guided expression, have your own visual experience. Because like once you get in there, you guys, you will never doubt your worth again, ever. You will be like, oh my gosh, game on, challenge accepted, right? And you know, it's funny because of course, once I got through all of this crazy, like as above is below, you know, the Bible versus metaphysics and quantum, it was like, I'm going to go listen to some of these evangelic guys that have like gone all the way through and see what they're saying. And guys, I didn't resonate. I didn't resonate with, they were so passionate about being in battle. I was like, what? Like battle in neutrality? Like because I was like, oh, maybe I'm going to be one of these people when I'm done with this. Like, let me see what this is about, right? You know, I wanted to hear it. And I'm going, battle? And this guy was talking about how he was saved 4 or 5 years ago. And I really liked his energy. He was a good dude. But he was talking about how even now I'll be in the hotel room when I'm traveling away from my family and the devil's trying to get in. I'm going, you didn't fix the problem then. You just patched the ceiling, dude. You didn't fix it. Because what I know is that if I am in the womb of creation, then I am compassionate. And if I felt something dark or something dead, I would send it life, not fight it. I would be like, I see you, and you know what? I love you. That demon's not going to knock at my door if it's not ready to come home. That demon's going to be like, garlic. He's going to run away from me. Why would I ever be afraid? And why would I feel like I'm not here to fight? 5D is not fight, it's love. Our only ammunition is love. And so I know when I get on the other side of my indoctrination completely and something wants to come and tempt me, I'm going to be like, I love you. And it's either going to come home or it's going to go away from me. And right? I mean, I did that when I was a little girl to get ghosts out of my room. I love you. I love you. I love you. And they were like, I was like, okay, no one wants what I got. Not even the dark stuff. I mean, that's the only thing I could think of. That was the only thing that got rid of the bugs was love. So you see, like it's all. And so I don't necessarily agree with the whole, we're in the battle for Christ. Like, no. And I know the Bible translates that, but I truly believe that if we're not in resistance to any part of ourselves, and we have this compassion Christ at heart, and something came to tempt me, then it was something that was hungry. And no, I'm not going to feed it and make it hungry in 10 minutes, but I'm going to fill it with energy so it can feel satisfied. Because if that part of that dark energy can feel love, then maybe it might go in a different direction. You see, so I see I still don't fit in anywhere because I can't do the whole evangelist thing because I don't believe that we're here to fight. It doesn't make sense with frequency and vibration to fight against love. So all I know is love is what heals love. And the only reason that we would be still playing this pain game is if we didn't know ourselves. Okay. So does that help, Donna?
It does, Jess, a lot.
And then you're going to have the other class later. So
Yeah.
we're going to be on a journey here. So anybody else, anybody who's not in the Divine Feminine workshop want some help with something that they're sitting in? And if you guys started late on this class, make sure you go watch from the beginning because you're probably like, what the heck is going on here? What is she talking about? She's gone to the deep end. No, I've gone into the void. That's for sure. Anybody? All right. Well, we're at an hour and a half basically. So if you think of anything, you can always put it in the queue, like, hey, question for next week, or, you know, hey, I'm not in that class, and, you know, can you point me to a direction? You know, it's still time to join us if you want to go on that journey with us. We haven't started any of the deep delayering. We just started with some basic questions. Because again, we got to work through different layers, you know, to get in there before we just like jump in there. You know, it's so far from your belief system if you've disconnected with it that we got to kind of like, oh, we got to unpack the baggage first. So that's kind of what we're doing first in there. So just, yeah, that's just to mention. But if nobody has anything else, then we'll wrap for today. I hope this takes you down a rabbit hole. Now, you know, not like I'm going to go study all this, but like if there was anything that left a question, go get it answered and then look up the definitions of all these words. Because again, I just gave you guys a tip of the iceberg of what I've experienced over the last 3 or 4 weeks now. And yeah. And another thing too, one of the things is one of the fast ways to get through an indoctrination is sound. Okay, we know that. We knew that from the Palladians and the Arcturians who told us sound, 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 because this environment is hypnotized. All right, the way that you're in the simulation is you're in a hypnotic experience 24/7. Okay, the frequency is suffering. The frequency is suffering. So the body's going to attune naturally to suffering, even if you're alone, okay? Because you got your own body that's hungry, right? It's either that mafia or this one, all right? So it doesn't matter if you're alone, your willpower will not work after a certain time. So what you want to do is constantly bombard your frequency with higher vibrations, okay? Higher vibrations, light, sound, music. Remember, modern music that is collective is going to be low vibration and more demonic. Now, you guys know I love looking up words. So I looked up demonic, okay? All it means is diabolical, all right? Now I looked up demonstration, demon, demonstration, okay? It's like, look at all the demonstration. Like, think of that diabolical demonstration. See, that just sounds like a tantrum, doesn't it? Because you want to take out the fear. Demon is a real big trigger word that goes through ancestral DNA. So you want to be careful with that language. This is why I don't like talk about Jesus a lot or demons or Satan, because it does trigger your system. Either your demons are like, hey, we know him, or we don't like him, you know? So I like to use different references. And this is also why I like rip apart words, because it helps me identify with what I could just glaze over and be glib to. So sound, 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 sound. So the way that I have been working my reality, because again, like I really feel like since I'm going to this next level, I'm facing my next devil, right? Or my next demonstration. And so, you know, I've been endorsing this product for 7 years. This is the Brain Tap. Okay. This is hypnotherapy and meditation. Now you can just use the app. There's like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. It's because it starts on an app, and it's created by Dr. Patrick Porter, who I give my signature of yes. He's an amazing hypnotherapist. He's on the right side of the track. Okay. He is not a false prophet, and he's like, his voice is very soothing. Also, it's in double voice because he speaks to the masculine and feminine. So you'll hear one side and then you'll hear the other side. And then this is, I can turn it on and show you guys this baby. The lights are in the ears and the eyes. I know, because again, this is all your brain, and this is where the sound is being driven. This is where your hunger is coming from. This is where your instincts are coming from. This is where you're receiving. This is where you're perceiving. Okay. So, and I will tell you that it's been a struggle for me for like times of the day. You know, it's like when I'm channeling, I'm like, I'm gamma and it's all good. And then like the kids are gone and it's like quiet. And I'm like, I'm going to do recap. You know, it's like, I just want to like put some good stuff in because I can feel it out there. Okay. And it's getting heavier. You know, you might be like, oh, good, the 15-minute rule isn't going to be in my town. But that's just because they're test running it. By the time they figure out what works, I want to be teleported. Okay. Hopefully you guys are there with me, like Wizard of Oz. But if not, you know, it is what it is. I'm just saying what I'm doing, you know, when I'm not channeling, when I'm not in gamma, when I am not like in the flow, when I do feel like a child with no parent, or I do feel like I'm in the void, I'm going toward my sound healing. Sound, 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 sound. Epsom salt baths, music. You know, I've literally had Beethoven playing just low key my house. Okay, I have my scalar energy running. I'm using my Healy. These are things I've never had to use before because I could just direct connect. But now that I'm going into the womb space where I've never been, I don't know my way around there yet. I don't know exactly how to do that. And so I'm having to use like my crutches, and that's okay. Because I would much rather use these crutches than like food or a guy or money. Because I don't know if those things are going to be available soon, but I know sound. Even if just saying, like speaking my own voice, like I'm safe, you know, because like once you get into this middle space, like Middle Earth kind of, like it's a whole new ballgame, and I don't have any confidence or reference there yet. And I'm just being honest. So what I'm doing is I'm doing hypnosis. I'm doing sound healing. I'm using my scalar energy. I'm using my Healy technology. I'm trying to eat and get as much electricity in my water as I can. You guys, take your water, put a little bit of baking soda, a tiny bit of salt, sea salt in there. It will alkaline it. It'll make it more electric. You won't have to drink this much water and pee all day. You'll drink this much water and you won't be peeing a lot because your body's actually absorbing it. Okay. So that's one way to get more electric. You'll feel more satisfied because again, all the food here is designed to starve you. So you think it's just Chinese food? It's all of it. Okay. None of it is here to satisfy you. And that's the purpose, because hunger is suffering. So consuming is what you think is going to take the hunger away, making more money, right? But it doesn't take the hunger away. What you're lacking is source energy in that area, in that infection, or where that parasite is. Also, I'm deworming my kids right now and myself because, and heavy metal cleanse, just zeolite and nothing crazy. Okay. Just, it's not even really changing anything, but they both are detoxing. Oh, my sick. So that's a good sign. Right. And yeah, and so those are kind of some of the things that I'm doing right now to raise my vibration. I am like zero TV, you know. I will allow myself a few minutes of like TikTok recipes because I like to make food, but that's about it. You know, I'm really just trying to like keep my house clean right now because again, any distraction is a temptation, and that temptation, my body knows so well. It's like it wants it, you know, and I'm being a consistent mother right now. And I know I'll break through that threshold. Probably, who knows, by next week, I'll be like, oh, this was easy. Just keep going, you know. But right now I'm saying it's touch and go. So just being honest. Breastfeeding, and I noticed, let me see, because I missed that chat. I was breastfeeding and I noticed that when I thought I was hungry, I was actually needing to sleep. Yes, good point. And when you are hungry, you're dehydrated a lot of the times. Because you're also, Peter, demonstration sounds like demon and menstruation. Exactly. Right. And what is menstruation? It's a death experience. So look at menstruation, demonstration, demon. Men say we act like a demon when we're menstruating. PMS means pack my shit, right? Get out. So you see the metaphor here. It's all connected. And that's why language is so like, so amazing. If you get onto a word and you start ripping it apart, that's why I had you guys decode your names' meanings, because there's messages in this for us. It's the same stuff they use to control you. It's the stuff you can use to break the chains. And I love that because we just need to get better at this. You know, remember, fill all your void with your own source energy. So you're lacking nothing. And that means you're actually in alignment with everything you want. if you guys want more information about this, you can get 14 days of free. I think it's like $30 a month. It's not cheap. If you actually get the app, but you can get this for free. I'll put the link in you guys' queue. You can try it for 2 weeks for free. Now you won't have the lights. So I always say it works about 50%, but it's better than nothing. Okay. And then if you guys are like, yeah, I love this, then you can get one of these things. And I've got distribution in Canada. So it's not like you have to pay US rates unless you are actually Jules is in UK. She's the distribution head in UK. And then I'm here. And then we've got our quantum team in Canada. So if you guys are like, I need one of those things, I think they run anywhere between like $600 and $800 new. But I would say how much I've already used it. I got the new one to carry in the apothecary, and I'm like, I'm taking this home with me. Like I'm taking it. I've been using it at least twice a day. So it's literally already it's already been investment. Remember, invest in your vibration. Invest in your vibration, not in your instant gratification to fill some hole. Imagine like a spaghetti strainer. You're never going to get satisfied if you feed that. Okay. So you want to get full first and then allow the manifestation to come. Okay. I will work more on this as we go, but I'm going to wrap. So I'll see you guys soon. Thank you guys all for being here. I love you. See you soon. Bye.